Welcome, PBA LBC League Bowlers. I'm Neil Stremmel, your Director of Rules and Equipment for the PBA, and today we're joined by Jason Sterner. Jason, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You are a multiple PBA champion, three-time PBA champion, and just a staple out on tour. We are glad to have you here and glad to have your thoughts and advice, because I have a question for you, basically that I'd gotten from some viewers out there talking about an arsenal. And so you and I were talking about an arsenal the other day, and you had kind of a different way of talking about it. So I wanted to talk to the league bowlers out there about how you look at building an arsenal.
Okay.
So walk me through that, and then we'll look at it on the lanes.
So I've, in my past experience, I felt that most bowlers have some kind of experience with golf or are golfers themselves. So I like to look at my tools as golf clubs. And it took a while to kind of process that and get it into the way that I like to see it, but I do it based on around numbers and other things. But that's how I like to break down my bag. So when I'm building a bag to go to a tournament, I want to have a couple clubs in my bag so that when I get there, I can play the course and not have the same typical clubs that when I go, I can have some different options.
Yeah. All right. So it sounds like depending on where you're going, you're going to have, driver, 9-iron, and then maybe a 3-iron in there or something like that.
Yeah, like you see this beginner sets, you get the driver, like the 3-iron, the 7-iron, and the pitch and wedge.
Yeah, so a lot of our league bowlers out there, that's where they're at. They're at the, the 2 or 3 ball arsenal. They're not at the 5 ball or 9 ball arsenal or what have you. Not lugging 3 3-ball bags into league yet. We want to get you there. So to help get them there, let's take a look. Why don't we throw some balls and talk about them as you're throwing them, and kind of explain to me like how you view it.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Let's do that.
All right,
Thanks. All right. That's looking good. So that's more of the middle ball that we just saw there?
Yeah, I would say this is, in between my driver and my 7-iron. And I know you guys can't see my balls now, but we have a Mesmerize, which I'm using for a driver. And I have a Vaporize that I'm using for, like, let's say a long iron, a 3-iron, a 4-iron. And then this GB4 Hybrid, which is basically a 7-iron in a sense.
Okay, so like you said, that's your bag. So we just saw the Vaporize, and that's more in the middle. What would you say core and cover wise on that?
This is going to be like a little bit bigger core or engine. I like to think of it that way, like with a car engine. And then the cover or the tires is more of a cleaner. It's got a little traction in it, but it's a little clean on the cleaner side versus like my driver, my Mesmerize, which is the most tackiest cover and the biggest block of the 3. So.
All right, so I just saw you strike with that. Was it close to 15? About where you were?
I wasn't exactly lined up. I was looking at 12 and standing around 22. So All
right, so if you go to your driver here, the Mesmerize, what's that going to look like?
So I think the biggest misconception with a lot of amateur bowlers is when they change environments, they're so used to all the extra friction. And like when we bowl in these patterns, there's usually more oil than there is friction. So that's why I like the bigger balls. I'm, associating that with friction. So the driver to me is more friction. I need the ball to start up. So like in this scenario, the ball should be earlier, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better, because it could be earlier and then hit flat because it uses so much energy, which is why I like this medium ball, which has still got some friction or energy, but not as much as the other. So it's still storing some at the pins.
Gotcha.
So I could switch this driver, but if I flat 10, I want to know that the ball hooks too soon, and I'm seeing it that way so that I can manage what my next options are.
All right.
So we'll see what the result is.
Good.
My thoughts is it should be a little bit higher. Right. So like in golf, like all the clubs are different numbers, and we would like to have one standard swing. So that's how I'm trying to simplify the game. I have for this sake of argument, this one swing and I'm changing my clubs to let the ball do what it needs to do.
Yeah, so you work on your swing, you get it as best as you can, and you don't mess with it.
Right, yeah.
And then you just switch balls.
Absolutely.
And allow that same swing to give you different results just by switching the balls.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of make it simple as you can. I think we can get caught up in the balls and all the things, and then we physically try to get, getting our.
And you get lost. That's how you get lost.
You want to make it simple.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. So I don't know if we've seen the hybrid yet. I don't know if they've seen
like
that.
in this scenario, so this should not hook as early. There's not as much friction variable to it. So it should naturally clear the front and get further down lane. Whether it's going to go sideways or not, we'll see. You can see how much longer this is.
Yeah, longer, and came in maybe a little late.
A little late.
And
that ball didn't see enough friction.
Yeah.
So,
but that wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. So you can take that and move right, or you can just take that and hold it until you need it later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So in this scenario, we're bowling on the PBA LBC National Championship pattern, so it's not what you would normally bowl on tour, which would be much flatter.
Yeah.
So this is, about a 5-to-1 ratio. So it sounds like you'd start with the Vaporize, which is like your 3-iron.
Yeah.
And that's going to be like your go-to club for a while, and then maybe it would be the GB4.
Yeah, I'm probably going to shift down. Again, that's usually most league patterns are, let's say, 10-to-1, and this is, you told me, is 5-to-1. So there's a little bit more volume out there. So sometimes people with lower rev rates need a little extra surface or a bigger club, so they help do the work for them.
Yeah.
So
that might be what our league bowlers do out there. They're going to start more so with the driver.
Yeah.
So in your case, the Mesmerize, and then they might move down to the Vaporize as the games go on.
Yeah, as the friction starts to come in the front and the oil gets pushed down lane, then we don't want that big heavy cover in the front. We want those cleaner covers, but we still want a bigger engine inside so it can still corner down lane.
Gotcha.
Because if we use that small engine like we saw in the GB4, it gets down lane, but it didn't have enough to get back.
Yeah, and if you push more down lane, that's still not really going to get better.
Then you're going to have to try to physically start trying to make that strike, and we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah, because that's when more inconsistencies come in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So in this case, the Vaporize. So if you go the Mesmerize, which is your driver, you wear out the front a bit, you and your teammates, and then you go to the Vaporize because it's still the bigger core, but now it'll push through that when you've kind of burnt that up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. That makes a lot of sense to me. I appreciate that thought process.
No worries.
All right. I hope the league bowlers out there pulled some of that information in. I hope you see those kind of transitions, and now you can attack it with your best chance to have success out on the lanes. I hope you continue to have success on the lanes, and I hope you continue to support our sport. Thank you very much.